Hello, my spooky listeners. My name is Pookie, and you're listening to the Spooky Pookie podcast. Okay, so for today's episode, I wanted to tell you guys about an email I received. This person wanted to remain anonymous, and they sent me an email describing these dreams that they had in the 1990s over the course of about 2.5 years. It was somewhere in like the mid to late 1990s. So they had 11 dreams in total over this 2.5 year period, but there's only 3 of them that they cannot recall. So they sent me information on the other 8 that I wanted to share here. So the reason this person remembers these dreams is because they were very, very vivid in nature, and they had a very profound impact on this person as a result. It sounds to me like lucid dreaming, or like an out-of-body experience of some kind. It's really fascinating what this person wrote. So let's get into the first dream. So for context, this man's mother-in-law had just passed away prior to having this dream, and they had also had the funeral already. And real quick, I wanted to note that this woman was an alcoholic when she was alive, and how she passed was she suddenly dropped to the floor and essentially passed away on the spot. It was very tragic, very traumatic for the family. So I thought that was important to share prior to re-sharing this dream, as it obviously provides some important context. So in this dream, he's sitting on a park bench next to his mother-in-law, and she looks to be about in her 30s. He doesn't quite recall whether or not, she had makeup on or what she was wearing. The only thing he really noticed about her was that she was sitting next to him and looking off into the distance, not looking at him, and that she also had a different hairstyle than what he remembers from when she was alive. So when he knew her, she had a short, dark bob with some grays going through it. In the dream, she had medium-length hair that had a lot of volume, and it was like a lighter brown color. He also reports that her hair looked like it had just been styled, as it looked fresh and smooth. It's also important to note here that he was obviously very worried at that time about his wife, because his wife was she had just lost her mom, and she was worried about her mom. Was her mom okay in the afterlife? That was her, a big thing that was on her mind at that time. And naturally, he was very worried about his wife because he loves her, right? So she is sitting there next to him, and he says to her, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "Yes." And then proceeded to tell him not to worry about her, and to tell everybody else that she was okay, and same thing, not to worry about her, and that everything was going to be okay. And she said it very confidently, he said. He then added in at the end of the email that on the day of the funeral, which was again before the dream happened, on the day of the funeral, he heard her call his name while he was in the shower. And when he got out, he asked his wife if she had called him at all, and she said no. So it sounds to me like between this and the dream, like she was trying to get this man's attention, so as to let him know to let his family know that she's okay and they'll meet again someday. Provide them with some closure. Very powerful dream. So for dream 2, this one is even more interesting, but it's a bit more eerie. So this man reports that he walked into an auditorium that was mostly dark. There was a dim lighting coming from like the left side of the stage, and in the middle of the stage was a man sitting sideways on a chair. He reports that this man appeared to be older than him at the time, and at that time this man was about 50. So he appeared to be older. He had this frightening and threatening gaze towards this man. His eyes were completely dark, and he didn't blink. He just stared straight ahead at him. He was somewhat overweight, had dark hair, a black suit on. He also reported that this man had dark circles around both his eyes, as if he had a black eye on both eyes, except they weren't swollen, they were just dark. And I asked if they were sunken in, and he said no. he just states that this man didn't look healthy. He also reported that this man in his dream, somehow he knew that this man represented death or the devil. He said that at the very least, the man was a troubled soul. He also picked up this energy that the man wanted him to follow him somewhere. And that's why he was staring at him so menacingly. And this really spooked the man out for obvious reasons, because this person he was staring at genuinely had really awful intentions, really awful energy, negative energy. He then reports that he heard a voice from where the light was coming from. And all the voice said was, "No, he is not the one you want." I might have mentioned this already, but the man also reported that he felt like a passive bystander in most of these dreams, if not all of them, which then makes you think about what he was witnessing, if it was real, if it was astral projection, right? Was he a fly on the wall for something he shouldn't have seen? And then the dream ends and everything goes dark. Now, the next weird dream that this person reports, he feels is related to the second dream. So I felt compelled to keep this story on the same episode as story 2. And I'm going to split these dreams up into a couple different episodes just to keep them relatively short. So for dream number 3, he finds himself on some kind of spaceship that's passing over a large planet. And the planet is slightly illuminated on one side of the planet and then really dark on the other. More specifically, he reports that this planet is illuminated from the left side. Now, on this side of the planet, he sees just clay, like brown clay and dirt, essentially. And he reported that there was various shades of brown, but that was about it. However, on the right side of the planet, that side of the planet was just a black hole, like an abyss. Like if someone, let's say they drew a planet on a sheet of paper and cut out where this hole was and then colored it in with black, it would look weird, right? Basically this is how it looked. Now, he doesn't hear anything and he doesn't report feeling anything specific in his body. Again, he just felt like a passive observer more than anything. However, as he's looking at the planet, he feels that same dread from the second dream, where he saw the man in the auditorium. He somehow felt that, or maybe concluded even, that this planet was where that man was going to take him. And he somehow knew it in his soul that whoever goes into that hole, whoever goes to that planet, is never seen again. As the planet also itself didn't have any sign of life or vegetation whatsoever. Now, the man is relatively religious, so he feels that this planet was supposed to represent hell. And he remembers just feeling this immense relief knowing that he was not going back there. He somehow knew he was moving away from this planet. Again, he reports that these dreams felt very vivid, like he was awake and experiencing it in real life. And for those of you who have had those types of dreams, if you know, you know. It comes with a very distinct feeling of knowing that this wasn't a normal dream. It was spiritual at the core of it. This reminds me of a dream that I actually had right after I graduated college with my bachelor's degree. I had been in school for about 10 years. It's a long story, I won't go into that, but I finally was graduating, and I remember having this dream where I saw my partner at the time on a date with someone else, and I somehow knew that one, it wasn't me, and one, it was two, it was the future, which confused me. I then looked up into the sky and saw this. It was kind of like a hole, like a portal. There were these clouds, as if I was in a tornado, looking up and looking into the eye of the storm, essentially. except it wasn't a tornado. It wasn't near the ground. I could see that it was very much high up in the sky. And these clouds that I was looking at, they were a combination of white, gray, and yellow. And they were sort of spinning a little bit as they went up towards the sky, up towards the portal. And the only thing that went through my head at that moment was that I was looking at eternity, whatever that meant. And something about it kind of spooked me. It gave me this feeling of, I don't know if I should say like existential dread, but it felt existential, if that makes sense. It just felt like something, I was looking at something I couldn't control, basically. And that really freaked me out. Another term that comes to mind when I think about this dream is the term destiny. It felt like I was looking into my destiny and it felt uncertain. So I suppose you can make the argument that was just some subconscious thing that my brain was trying to tell me, because now it was like, okay, you're graduated, now what, right? Anyway, I'm getting the same vibe is what I'm getting at. Maybe not so much destiny with this person's dreams, but definitely that feeling of eternity or some kind of existential, something bigger than you. Yeah. Sorry for the side tangent. I have also read that eternity is a phobia, a real phobia, although I suppose anything could be a real phobia. I don't recall the name of it, though. That's the only thing. Anyway, that concludes the first part of the series of dreams. He sent me descriptions of 8 of the 11 dreams because there's 3 that he doesn't remember. We were kind of joking that, well, maybe he wasn't meant to remember, or because he did remember them for a really long time, but then suddenly one day he just stopped remembering 3 of the dreams, and he just doesn't know why. So I'm wondering if maybe he was only supposed to remember them for certain periods of his life to maybe guide him through something. That's just my opinion, but it's tough to say without hearing what was in the dream. So, and he also reports feeling like these dreams were bigger than him. So I thought that was really interesting. Anyway, that concludes episode 2. Thank you everybody who made it this far, and thank you so much for listening to the Spooky Pooky podcast. Again, if you have any weird experiences, weird gut feelings, any cryptid sightings, ghosts, aliens, whatever you want to throw at me, I'm here for it. Let's do it. Hit me up at spookypookipodcast@gmail.com. I would love to share your story, whether it's weird or spooky, or maybe it's spiritual and sentimental at the same time. I love those types of stories. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.